Antifa professor Jeff Klanzman, whatever, sues college. So this is the final part of a trilogy, or at least I hope it's the last video that we do on this guy. We'll see. You may remember mid-October we put out 2 videos about an Antifa professor in an Iowa college calling for violence against people for political disagreements. The first one was called Antifa Professor Talks About Attacking Trump and Killing People Still Has Their Job. After that, he did lose his job, and we put out the second one called More to the Story. Antifa Professor canned, sues school, wants Christians killed, threatens president, calls police, wants safe space, wife leaves. And in those videos, I spoke about making a third video where we dive deeper into the subject, namely looking at he himself, just showing that he is actually Antifa. I mean, we already have his own proclamation that he is, but let's look at the social media profile of this Antifa professor. Well, actually, ex-professor now. In these polarized times, especially these times where you can have your whole career ruined over accusations, it's important to take such accusations seriously. If you're going to accuse someone of political extremism, you better damn well have a lot of evidence to justify those accusations. You know, these are times in which the boy cries wolf very often, but seldom ever is a wolf found. I would recommend that you watch the aforementioned videos, the first 2 in this trilogy, but I don't really think those are necessary, really. It just would give more importance to this video. Anyway, whether or not you saw those aforementioned videos, just know that in one of the news articles about this, it mentioned that this professor was working at, well, he was volunteering at a local horse stable, and that would be why we take note of any sort of equestrian stuff when looking at his Facebook profile. Let's have a look at that. Now, I triangulated what seems to be his Facebook from, well, the fact that, you know, it's the one that they showed in that news report, but, you know, you can't just believe other people's reporting. But there, we can triangulate by looking at this thing that he does like horses, and, you know, horse organizations, stables, stuff like that. He has this background picture right here, which is a what people would characterize as a tanky image. In other words, someone who's so militantly communist that they celebrate the communist military. What you're seeing right here are Soviets who had captured German panzer tanks and then, you know, painted their own star and numbers on them so that they can use that in World War II.
Common practice.
Yeah, this is a tanky. In other words, he's a militant communist, all indications would be. When you go to About, you don't see anything. When you go to Friends, you don't see anything. When you go to Photos, all you see is that tanky picture right there. But when you go to... Well, actually, no. Let's go back to About. Here we go. Okay, we can also triangulate that this guy is an Iowa person. It seems like it because he likes Iowa sports. Okay, so he likes the communism. He likes the horses. He likes Iowa stuff. He apparently likes a movie about a horse. The Daily Show. And look, oh, he likes a lot of Antifa stuff. And not just any old Antifa stuff. Iowa stuff.
He forgot to scrub that is what happened.
Right.
He forgot it existed. Most of these idiots always forget about their likes.
Yeah, Tabby's speaking from experience because she's done a lot of searching through people's Facebook profiles who like Antifa, and she sees patterns. So, Iowa Antifa, right there. This is the group supposedly, well, it's not supposedly, I already looked into it. This is the group that he posts at, okay? In all likelihood, this is his. But you can see, folks, he certainly does like Antifa, and then, you know, things like Bernie Sanders and Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, a lot of horse stuff, horse stable stuff, snowman, you know, Mother Jones, you know, the patterns are all there. All right, so under here, September 30th, after the story broke, they have again the photo of the newscasters that reported on this stuff, and Jeff Klanzman right there, thanks for the laugh. Not exactly repentant. Not exactly trying to hide his stuff, is he? I mean, he took everything off of his timeline, but here you go. Does he think people aren't going to find this stuff, or does he not care? And if he doesn't care, why did he delete his other stuff? I don't know. Maybe he's just not very bright. Okay, we can see here on August 23rd, this is very shortly after the story broke. Iowa Antifa. Hello to all the boomers that are here from the KWWL news story. Good to have you. Fuck cops, landlords, border guards, and fascists. America is the worst country in the world.
Why are you trying to make money in it?
Fuck your flag, abolish ICE, communism will win. Now, obviously, some of that, I think they're intentionally just being hyperbolic, just to insult people that they imagine would come here, or the kind of people they would imagine come here. And then, I see below that is a comment by Jeff Klanzman. Let's make sure he isn't in these sub-comments here. Jeff Klanzman. Well, I may as well like your comment and post how much I detest fascism. I just resigned from Kirkwood, okay? I just resigned from Kirkwood. Not I was forced to resign or anything like that. We have a track record now. We have a trace here saying that suggests at least that he resigned voluntarily. And if he didn't, well, you shouldn't have wrote that. I just resigned from Kirkwood at their request. Okay, at their request. Not at pressure, under pressure, anything like that. At their request. What the hell else can the fash do to me? SWAT my house? But then you called the cops anyway, you schmuck. Yes, I've been told they're posting images of my house online. Fucking Fox, fucking KCRG, ...
Oh, what, not fair, you little baby?
Not fair.
Not fair, you did it to other people, that's not fair? No.
Now, as far as the wife leaving thing is concerned, here's a little clue. This is August 24th, okay? Please be aware that Donna and I are safe for now. We are also united as one on how we will defend ourselves.
Someone's,
I'm going to defend myself from hateful comments. Donna has demanded that Shine Bloom, that's the reporter, be fired. What? For what? For doing his job?
Words? That's not how it works.
Now, I say we target KCRG TV 9. Our demands, fire Shine. Let's continue the post. Fire Shine Bloom. I wonder if Shine Bloom knows about that. Or cares. Jeff Klanzman, August 23rd. I have been placed on administrative leave. The college has received dozens of complaints demanding I be fired. Again, nothing about how he was forced to. I mean, he has been placed on administrative leave. Nothing in here indicating that he was forced to resign. Now, later on, apparently, Jeff Klanzman said, no, I'm going to sue because they made me do it. But so far, we don't see any evidence to back that up. We see evidence of the contrary. August 28th. Wish me luck. Contacted some law firms this morning. September 7th, Klanzman posted this. Vindication. Thanks to the attorneys, I learned how to retrieve the post which cost me my job. Here is the post, with Aaron Berg's poem removed to steer clear of violating Facebook standards. So yet again, folks, he is saying this is a poem by a man named Ehrenberg. So he gives a partial link. I found the article. It's a very long article. It's a few years old. It's not really relevant here. Anyway, he continues after giving that Rolling Stone article link. This is what the country will come to if we don't stop evangelical Christians. I'm struggling with my feelings after reading the Rolling Stone story below. I'm not going to pretend here that there's no such thing as right-wing Christian conservative persecution of homosexual and transgender kids out there. It probably still happens. You know, there's a lot of conservative Christian pockets around this country where they probably still preach in church on Sundays that gays are willingly giving themselves over to Satan and all that kind of crap. I'm not going to pretend that stuff doesn't happen. Okay? So I don't mean to take light of that. It's just not very relevant here. He continues with the following words. Take very close note here, folks. He says, hatred is corrosive, and almost nothing good comes out of hating. This is interesting because this is coming from the same guy who elsewhere in this group says that he hates anyone who wears this mask. Seems a bit hateful and, well, kind of stupid, since anyone could wear any mask for any reason. You know, it's like a bandana thing. It's a thing that is becoming increasingly fashionable, let's say, for motorcycle drivers to wear some sort of a thing on their face because it feels better that way. And so if you want to look cool, you get this one where it looks like the lower half of your face is a skull. But because this is like the same thing where they say, no. The OK symbol always means white supremacy now. No. It's not just that. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different kinds of people. No. We have decided that if you drink milk, use the OK sign, or wear this bandana on your face that you could probably buy at Harley-Davidson shops and gas stations all over the country. No. That means you're a Nazi. And I hate anyone who wears this. Just hate them. Just hate them. By the way, hatred is corrosive, and it's not a good idea. I hate people. I hate those goddamn evangelicals, and we should kill them all. Oh, by the way, those aren't my words. Or are they? Well, getting ahead of myself. But yeah, this is a mask that I'm pretty sure I've seen Antifas wear, in fact. I mean, yes, I've seen members of the Rise Above movement wear that. Okay. I've seen them wear jeans, too. And it doesn't mean that wearing jeans makes you a white supremacist or whatever. Oh, and these people are teaching people with these sort of twisted and stunted, just stunted minds.
Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
Just stunted minds are teaching people in universities. Well, apparently not this one anymore. Thank goodness. Ugh.
3 weeks later.
As you don't know, folks, but as Tabby, you do know, these past couple of days I've been working on what I hope is the last part of this story. And it gets a little confusing, you see, because, well, we'll get into it. Now, if you remember, folks, earlier in this trilogy, from the report by local TV, KCRG, or ABC9, their chief investigatory reporter, I believe is how you put it, Josh Scheinblum, reported that, among other things, Jeff Klanzman did post on Facebook, reminded me of Ilya Ehrenberg's war poem and how he motivated Soviet soldiers to deal with the German invaders. And then here comes the quote, "Kill them all and bury them deep in the ground before millions more are tortured to death." And supposedly that is the quote right there. And then the rest of that is the words of the professor. It's not, supposedly, it's not pretty and I'm not proud, but seeing, etc., blah, 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 evangelical Christians are doing bad stuff and blah, 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 okay? When I fact check this, granted, I didn't put days of worth of hard research into this, but when I researched this quote, I can't really find any good evidence that this quote is actually from this particular poet, a man of this name, okay? And when you look into this guy's name, you get some murky stuff. Apparently, according to some people, he's the person who, quote-unquote, invented the 6 million Jews figure. Some of this stuff goes back to, really questionable sources. Earlier today, I recorded something about how he apparently won a Stalin Peace Prize, but the more I look into it, the less convinced I am that's actually true. If you go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, there's an entry on him. He apparently is a Soviet spokesperson to the Western world, etc. He's Jewish. Obviously, by the name, it should be obvious that he's Jewish. But no mention of these poems about death and killing Germans that you encounter when you go to certain sources that end up kind of just being people's blogs and stuff like that. So, to summarize, it seems that this Antifa ex-professor has strange bedfellows with people who I guess are kind of the Holocaust denier type, who attribute the 6 million Jew figure to this Jewish Soviet poet, apparently, and then they try to smear him by saying that this Jewish Soviet poet talked about killing German people, very adamantly telling people to kill German people. I can't really find any proof of any of that. Oh, by the way, I want to give credit to the Campus Reform. When they reported on it, they don't claim that those words are coming from that Jewish poet. They just say, here in their report on this, that in a 2012 post, Klanzman, that's the Antifa ex-professor, posted on Facebook that, quote, "This is what the country will come to if we don't stop evangelical Christians," unquote, quoting a poem reading, quote, "Kill them all and bury them deep into the ground before millions more are tortured to death," unquote. See, they're not saying that that's coming from that Jewish Soviet poet guy. They're just saying that Klanzman included that in his post. Alrighty? It's nice that they see some careful journalists out there. So if you go to Wikipedia, the entry on this guy, Ilya Ehrenberg, it says he is a Soviet writer, Bolshevik revolutionary journalist, and historian, etc., and a lot of stuff, And if you scroll down, for example, and this is what I mean when I say Wikipedia may be a good starting point for information, but you really have to be careful. And this isn't a good example of that. So under this guy's, this Soviet Bolshevik, whatever guy here, go down to the section where it says World War II. Down here where I highlighted, it says his article Kill, published in 1942, when German troops were deeply within Soviet territory, become a widely publicized example of this campaign, along with the poem Kill Him by Simonov, a different individual. And then they cite two sources for that. And then it says, in Kill, that's the one by Ehrenberg, he wrote, quote, "We shall kill. If you have not killed at least one German a day, you have wasted that day. Do not count the days. Do not count miles. Count only the number of Germans you have killed," unquote. And so on and so forth. The citations that they give for this, unfortunately, are in Russian. But up here it says, I think, military literature, something to that effect. Right here, the title, it does in fact say Kill, but the guy's name is not on this at all. I translated it, a paragraph at a time or whatever. Among other things, this thing in Russian does translate to stuff like Germans are not people. From now on, the word German is the worst damnation for us. From now on, the word German discharges the gun. We will not talk. We will not be indignant. We will kill. If you did not kill at least one German in a day, your day is gone. If you think that your neighbor will kill a German for you, you will not understand the threat. And, so on and so forth, right? But I can't find that guy's name anywhere on there. But it is July 24th, 1942. The top of the page where it says military literature, prose of war. So that's kind of a dead end as far as I could tell. I mean, unless somebody else knows Russian fluently and can give me more information on that. If I had 45 years worth to study intensely, I might know what the hell is really going on there. I don't know. I really don't know. One source, for example, that mentions these things is something called Communism Blog. Communist poetry. Kill the Germans. Kill. Ilya Ehrenberg, one of the most prolific authors, journalists, and cultural figures of the Soviet Union, born in Kiev, the Russian Empire, to a privileged Jewish family. And you see why I'm pausing, for example. And then you can notice right here, look up in the corner, communist Jews. See, if you know enough about what Hitler actually wrote about and said about the Bolsheviks, the Soviets, a lot of it was, they're Jews, it's all Jews. And that's why we gotta destroy them. He even said, like, the Jewish Bolsheviks or the Bolshevik Jews or whatever the hell, I don't know. Jewish Bolshevism, right? So, if you know enough about that, then these things, the language used becomes quite familiar. This webpage right here, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is not a sincerely communist blog, but rather the blog of a person who wants you to think of communism as a Jewish plot, a Zionist plot, something like that. It seems to me. But this is the sort of webpage that you will find if you look up the sort of quotes that this Antifa ex-professor says is from this guy. So it's pretty strange that, these sort of Hitlerite people agree with this Antifa ex-professor in the sort of rhetoric that they put in the mouth of this guy that I'm not convinced he ever actually said. For example, quote, "The Germans are not human beings. From now on, the word German is the most horrible curse. And from now on, the word German strikes, etc. and so on and blah, blah, blah. Kill Germans, kill them, kill them, kill them." And then this is coming from a source who I certainly don't put a lot of trust into myself. So, I don't know. Okay, well, I mean, I could go on forever with this and forever, and I don't want to. I don't want to. At any rate, it seems that this Antifa ex-professor seems to be trying to blame his own faux pas on Ilya Ehrenberg, instead of owning up to his own words. Either way, in October, this ex-professor announced that he now has pro bono legal counsel for his lawsuit against the school, from which we have now seen a lot of evidence that suggests he voluntarily resigned from for $3,000 and a few $100 or something like that. As Tabby noted in an earlier episode, the equivalent of Judas's bag of silver, however much silver he got for selling his own soul. Same applies here. So, I guess Klanzman, is a Jewish name, right?
Oh.
Okay, well, let's just say hypothetically it is, okay? You got a Klanzman, the Antifa ex-professor, let's say that's a Jewish last name, and he is Jewish. Let's just say that. And then you got, supposedly he is quoting from another Jewish person about killing Germans, and he's saying it, suggesting that it apply to American Christian conservatives. And apparently this is a Antifa professor, ex-professor, right? And I can predict there's going to be identitarians on the right saying, see, the Jews, ha ha ha, right? But who led the expose on this guy? A man from a local TV station and a reporter who actually does actually investigate.
Yeah.
Scheinblum. Obviously, Josh Scheinblum is going to be at least Jewish by name, you know?
Yeah,
right?
ancestry at least.
So doesn't it kind of throw a little monkey wrench in your whole theory? See all the Jewish people they plot together. Well, okay, this is apparently Jews versus Jews in your eyes. Right?
I know, it's so stupid.
It is.
Oh my god, they're all in it together. They're all the evil Jews.
Right, but then you get a Jewish man who led the expose. I mean, if it wasn't for Josh Scheinblum's stuff on this guy, I wouldn't know about it, and I wouldn't be telling other people about this. As far as conspiracies are concerned, it's nearly impossible for just 3 individuals to maintain a conspiracy for long. Sooner or later, one of those 3 people is going to do something, and it's going to leak. Okay? The idea that all Jewish people, or Jewish people mostly, are in on some sort of Zionist plot, and they're managing to keep the whole thing under wraps, for the most part. The level of complexity there, it's way too complex of a thing to maintain.
Yeah.
It, just no. And, other people say the same thing about other groups. And then you get claims that the Freemasons, for example, are some sort of a satanic cabal because they do like to use the Star of David to represent the as above, so below kind of thing. In my limited experience, when you start talking to these Holocaust denier types or the Jews around the world types and stuff like that, people who believe things like what Ilhan Omar, for example, believe. These people, they tend to believe certain sort of patterns or whatever. And there's that person on Facebook who we know I'll be doing a video about in the future. They will say, well, here, this is proof. Like, I don't just hate Jews. No. Everything I'm saying is true. They're behind the Salem witch trials. They fake 9/11 or, all this crazy stuff, right? Then they say, well, here's proof. And they'll give you a link to someone to something that is like, say, a 3-hour-long video, or there's like a 6-hour-long video out there called something like The Greatest Story Never Told, which seems to me to be a 6-hour-long video that basically says that, Hitler was a pretty nice guy, he didn't kill any Jews. They made that up. It's all a Jewish plot to frame Hitler and the Nazis, and they didn't actually do that. And I'm not gonna sit there and watch 6 hours worth of stuff and fact check it all. And it all seems to be, this is why the whole thing is suspect, because the whole thing seems to exist, the whole sort of body of evidence, or claims, I should say, seems to exist for the purpose of saying, see, the Jews are the bad guys after all, and the Nazis weren't.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all they want.
Yeah, I mean, that's at least, that's the...
That the Jews are always the bad guy. They're always the bad guy.
It seems to be a justification for a belief in a Zionist globalist plot where the Jews do actually run the world and have all the wealth and etc. And therefore it is okay to be against the Jews as a whole and etc. and blah, blah, blah. Which, it's so naive, first of all. Like, it's already suspect. Like, no amount of fact-checking is going to change the fact that it's damn near impossible for an entire ethnic group, or most of the members, or as by and large an ethnic group, having a globalist secret plot and ruling the rest of the people out there and stuff like that. It's just like, look, you don't actually have to watch a 6-hour long thing or take 10 years worth of a study on some subject the Holocaust, for example. You don't need to actually sit there in a library for years on end and study these things to know that this whole, like, a certain ethnic group rules the world secretly and that's why everything bad happens. You don't need to study subjects in depth to just know how full of shit that is.
Yeah.
Right? And so anyway, it does...
Paranoid that is, by the way. Like,
yeah.
That's traversing into crazy land.
Yeah, and it's also, basically, it's sort of a self-contradictory thing. The Jews are a sub-race, but they're so superior to us that they just rule us like humans rule over cats, and they effortlessly have this secret cabal that the rest of us just can't crack into. The whole protocols of the elders of Zion and all that kind of, those kind of things, right? How can they be so superior to pull this off and yet still be a sub-race at the same time? Doesn't seem... It seems a little kooky.
A lot.
Yeah. But, anyway, I could go on and on and on. It's just, it's not necessary to really unravel all those knots, and I think half the point is to get you to go through the maze, a sort of like a maze of a minotaur thing, to trace a thread through a maze, and to keep you going through that maze when really, hold on a second, you don't even need to go through that maze because the whole premise itself is goddamn impossible.
Right. Like,
and, you know, and if you look at it for a little while, it's self-contradictory, doesn't make much sense, and it seems to be a justification for a hatred of a certain group of people based on genetics.
Yeah.
And not because of their individual character or deeds or words or anything like that. Okay, now, let's see. Hopefully I'm not going to leave anything out, but let's do a little kind of a wrap-up rundown through this whole thing. Either it is true or false that poet did say those things. I couldn't find any good evidence that poet did say those things, and in fact I found a lot of claims coming from what seemed to be sort of pseudo-neo-Nazi, Holocaust denial, Hitlerite type propaganda stuff. But some of that did make its way up into Wikipedia. So if you are sloppy, you may actually believe that Soviet Jewish Bolshevik poet guy did say those things, or did say kill them about German people, kill them, kill one a day, kill more than one a day, get your neighbor to kill them, all that kind of stuff. Now, don't know. I don't know if that guy ever said those things, but if you're really sloppy, you might believe that without actually being a neo-Nazi or anything. You just see it in Wikipedia, and you're like, oh, okay, well, then I guess that guy did say that, right? And so you could be a far-left person and be like, wow, I really like that communist, Stalinist, Stalin Peace Prize winning Bolshevik Jewish guy who urged Russian soldiers to kill German people. I like that guy because I'm a tanky and I'm on the side of the anti-Nazis, right? That is a very charitable interpretation. You know, I'm not going to say, like, oh, this Antifa ex-professor, he loves Nazis because he believes Nazi rhetoric about this apparent ambassador Jewish Bolshevik Soviet poet guy. It may just be he's an idiot.
yeah.
Who wants to believe anything that seems to support his narrative, even if it's sloppy and upon further inspection doesn't look pretty good. You know? But I'm not going to be an idiot and be like, oh yeah, see, look, he's a Nazi, he's the real Nazi, they're the real Nazis, blah, 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 blah. No, I think he's just sloppy, and you know, just willing to believe something that, on the surface of it, seems to serve his narrative without, you know, when he should really be a lot more careful. So, I don't know. So, what do you folks think about all these points that I'm saying? Is he guilty? Is he really a Nazi? You know, or in what sense do we say that? You know, I mean, I don't think he consciously wants to adopt the rhetoric of Stormfront because he really actually likes the alt-right or whatever. I just think he's an idiot. What do you folks think? I don't know. What do you think, Tabby?
I don't know. I don't think he is. I don't know.
You think he's just a schmuck?
I think he's just a schmuck.
I think I agree with Josh Scheinblum. He's a schmuck.
Yeah, 'cause most of these idiots are just idiots. Just plain and simple.
Yeah. Point is, this Antifa ex-professor is full of shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Big time.
the bottom line, all right? So, folks, What do you think about all this? Leave us a comment below. Thank you very much. Liberty, strength, honor, honesty, integrity, justice, truth, love, and laughter.